Welcome, people of the World Wide Web, and it's another movie review. So, what do I have for you today? Yes, it's the movie 65 now. If you've been following my channel for a little while, obviously it's still quite in its infancy, but yeah, this is one of the movies I really wanted to watch from last year. I looked forward to. Did it meet my expectations? Did it disappoint me? We're gonna find out. I will keep spoilers nearer to the end, and I won't go into too much to give stuff away. So anybody who doesn't know the premise, this is basically a story of people living on another planet. They had the dad, or Adam Driver's character. He is basically tasked with doing a job for, I think it's the best part of 2 years, to transport some, or to basically do this mission. He's transporting a load of passengers. They get hit by an asteroid and basically crash land on prehistoric Earth 65 million years ago. All the pods are destroyed except one, which has a young girl, and it is down to him and his girl to try and find the escape pod on part of their ship, which is I think 14 kilometers away, and then get back, get off the planet and get home. That's the story. Quite simple. As I said, I really like the look of this going into it. The trailer did, I did quite like the trailer, did display enough, and I do have a little, now I've seen the film, there is one little picky bit I have with the trailer, but we'll get to that at the end. So, I must admit, I had high expectations, but to be honest, as we started off, it didn't disappoint. I'll put a spoiler warning up there because I won't give anything more than away, anything more away at this point. But from now onwards, I will potentially mention stuff that could spoil bits from him. So you have it's obviously he lands on prehistoric Earth. We know that there are dinosaurs there. He doesn't really know that. It's an alien planet to him because he lives off in a far distance, and obviously he builds this relationship with this young girl that is the person he finds. And they set a lot of stuff up. Obviously, you learn a little bit at the very beginning about why he is doing what he is doing. So he has a wife, he has a daughter, and unfortunately the daughter is not very well. They don't go into specifics, but obviously she needs some sort of operation. This is why he does this journey for the 2 years, to basically earn money to save her life. Obviously, we don't know how far into the mission he is, but obviously he crash lands on Earth and he just wants to get back. Unfortunately, at first, all the survivors he believes are dead, so his rescue mission is he's the only one there. And it starts off a bit gritty because he lands, he pulls the gun out. Obviously, you see glimpses of dinosaurs, but you don't really get to see a lot. And it looks like he's going to shoot himself in the head because nobody's going to come for him, and he can't track any of the other pods and that. But he actually decides, he thinks about his daughter, and it keeps him on the path. And obviously, then one of the pods he realizes is active. He rescues the daughter. Now, this is where it takes a good turn, and obviously bits they don't really apply. So it seems that the girl who he finds in the pod is actually of like a different subsect of his community, or there are obviously some sort of tiers of how they work, and it doesn't really explain it, but she doesn't speak English. She speaks a different language. It doesn't really, so that's quite good. So they have to kind of work on body language and learning little bits as they go along. And I think that worked quite well. I actually am really, really impressed with Adam Driver more than anything out of all of this film. I did really like the film, but when you think of Adam Driver, unfortunately, he's probably got a bit of that kind of stereotype of Kylo Ren, a whiny kind of, and I don't think it leaves a good taste in people's mouths when they talk about him. I mean, I thought he was all right. He was a bit too whiny, but the whole Star Wars trilogy is going to be a hard thing. In this one, he actually portrays a bit more of an older, a dad figure. And it comes across really well, the kind of bond he creates with this girl along the line, because they can't speak languages and little bits as they go through. It worked amazingly well. I mean, apart from you meeting his wife and his daughter at the beginning, Adam Driver and the young girl, and I forgot her name. I'll put a picture up here of who she is. Like, it did really, really well. I mean, and how they work, they bounce off each other. And I mean, it is two actors literally. So take the premise of like Gravity and something. There are very few actors in it to act off it. They have to do a lot of the work themselves because it's CG and everything else, and it did work really well. They built up, you know, for me, I was kind of rooting for them as time goes on. And obviously, as the story progresses, they have to make this journey and they meet dinosaurs. The trailer gives away a few little bits, and there are a few little stuff happens, or it's and I won't go into too much detail, but I'll give you kind of an idea of, you know, in like detective movies or in mystery movies, you know, somebody comes across and goes, oh, like I found this scroll or this item and something, and they're like, nah, I'll put it in my bag for later. And you know that's then going to come up, you know, and there's a few little bits, there was one bit that's very similar to that, but there are a few bits like that, and you're like, okay, it's a little bit predictable. I mean, but it did work really well. You got to see a lot of dinosaurs, a few little ones I didn't really know of, some of like the T-Rex and little baby velociraptors and stuff, and it did work really well. Obviously, it builds to a point. There's a section where they reach the escape pod and it looks like they're going to escape. And if you've seen the trailer, and this is my only little gripe, because some of the trailer has part of a scene near the end of the film, it kind of ruins that bit, because you knew when they found the pod they weren't necessarily going to get away at that point. There was more to come. It was actually quite good, because even though in the trailer it shows a point, there's actually another evolution of that scene that happens. So I was got, you know, you're like, oh no, you know, I know what's going to happen, and then oh that creature, or that happened, or this person happened, or this person did this, and you're like, oh, I didn't expect that to happen. But yeah, it obviously they go on, they fight the dinosaurs, they manage to escape. Obviously, the reason for them to get off the Earth, there is something else that interacts with the story, and I'm not going to give it away here, because to me that twist I thought was quite good, even though it kind of makes sense when you think about it. It you know, they did that well, and this is what they had a solid story, solid acting, you know, that worked really well. You know, it had a natural progression, you know, there's a bit of action, a bit of comedy and stuff in there, and it all worked, and I had a thoroughly good time. I say a little bit in the trailer spoiled it a little bit for me, but obviously you had that extra bit which kind of made up for it. And then even on top of this is where the film is only like just over an hour and a half long, which surprised me, because it's they get off Earth, they get into the capsule, and they shoot off into space, and that's it. And you see flashes of like space and like their home planet, and that, for me, I would have liked a little bit more. I would have liked them to like get back to the ship, and then get back to the home, and then basically, like, because Adam Driver obviously takes a lot of injuries and a beating it, it'd be good for them to kind of wake up after this and go, like, you know, go to the girl, like, you saved me, because she couldn't understand it, and then they have a translator working and she's like, no, you saved me. And a little bit like that would have, you know, would have clinched it. Now, as I said, there are a few points that I've deliberately missed out, so even though it's a spoiler review, it's not spoiling lots. If you go to it, you will be pleasantly, hopefully, surprised at stuff I've not tried to review in this. But I did thoroughly like it. I mean, I rated it 7.5 out of 10. Now, I was on an R in last night if it's 7, 6.5 and stuff, and I was like, am I reading? But it is. It's a solid story. It's a good film, good acting. You know, the CG is good. It's very dark, but the CG is kept in tone with it. You know, there are funny moments and stuff, and it just really worked well. And from watching the trailer and wanting to see this, I was not disappointed in the slightest. As I said, there are a few bits I can nick, but who am I? But anyway, I've talked on it enough. I don't want to ruin anymore. So this has been my review of the movie 65. Hope you enjoyed the movie. Please comment, like, subscribe down. Is there anything you're looking forward to watching? If you've seen this film and you have other opinions, or there's bits I didn't cover, please do also comment, but please try and keep it spoiler free in the comments, just for anybody watching. I don't want to ruin the film, so you know, we're all here to enjoy it. But anyway, I've been Cypher Sigma, and I'll see you in the next one.